All right, hi everyone. Thank you for joining today. The webinar is on maximizing webinar ROI strategies for generating and nurturing B2B leads. My name is Alexandra Bruno, and I am the director and head of marketing at Ashling Partners. We're an intelligent automation consulting firm here in Chicago, Illinois, in which I'm also based out of. So today we're going to be talking about pre-webinar strategies, engaging your audience during a webinar, and then ending things with post-webinar as well. So let's go ahead and kick things off with a statistic. 20 to 40% of B2B leads originate from webinars. I think this is a really strong statistic to lead with and resonates really well with my marketing plan and strategy as well, since 60% of our leads come in from webinar strategies and webinar leads. And a lot of my colleagues that I speak with in the B2B space also feel that webinars are a very effective tool in their marketing tool belt. So think that it's really great to see that, others, 20 to 40% of B2B leads originate from webinars. So with that, let's dive into pre-webinar strategies. So before the webinar begins, it is crucial to define your target audience, craft compelling content, and promote your webinars efficiently. So, we're going to double click into all of these, but, at a very high level, we want to develop the detailed buyer persona and make sure that definitely we're aligned with the sales team and that our value proposition is in lockstep. When we're crafting that compelling content, we want to address audience pain points and provide solutions to them. We don't want to just create content for the sake of creating content. We always want to provide those solutions. We also want to ensure that we, when we're promoting the webinar, that we are doing that across channels too. So we're, using and leveraging social media, email. We're diving deep into our partnerships. We're also doing A/B testing along the way as well. And then another great statistic here, 73% of B2B marketers say that webinars is the best way to generate high quality leads. Again, since webinars is a big form of our marketing leads, with 60% of our leads coming from webinars, it's, just wanted to continue to share how important and how effective webinars can be as a tool within your toolbox. So let's double click into defining your target audience, and let's talk about the buyer persona. So to kick things off, we definitely want to identify who that is. So just outside of who your ICP is, we want to also talk about who are the job roles, who is the demographic, but most importantly, understand what the challenges that your buyer has. What are the challenges and objectives, so that we can really custom tailor and personalize that messaging to your buyer persona. So this, again, another statistic, but I think that stats really help, explain the importance of, why we are doing things. But personalized marketing can increase ROI up to 20% here. So understanding what those challenges and objectives are, and being able to incorporate those into your marketing messaging, goes a long way. I'm sure we all get like 15, emails a day about something marketing related, and I'm sure we all get invited to quite a few webinars as well. So to ensure that they are, custom tailored to some of our challenges and pain points, will help ensure that we are not only just capturing the right audience, but will help increase, sales as well. So we also want to ensure that we are analyzing data. So looking at past attendance engagement metrics. So whether that's just pure attendance rate, how long people are attending, is there something that happens specifically within certain webinars, themes, messaging, etc. Are there any patterns or trends of behavior? Was it a certain type of webinar that we saw a spike of attendance, or maybe a drop off? our fireside chats more attended? Is it with a partner or specific partners? Looking at those patterns will help us, create a better webinar plan for the future as well. And of course, going back to collaborating with sales. So we want to gain insights into the most valuable, engaging prospects when we're building our plan as well. So aligning and making sure that we have that great alignment in building our plan. So it just goes back to everything we've just been talking about to ensure that our, ICP is aligned, our buyer persona, data from the previous webinars, everything is in lockstep with one another so that we have the most effective event. So then going into crafting that compelling content, the pain points. So we want to address specific industry challenges and not only just address them, but ensure that we have actionable solutions. And as we're doing so, we also want to offer them insights. So when we're working with our SMEs on the content that we're providing them, we do want to provide them, whether it's a step-by-step guide, some sort of takeaway, best practices, whatever it might be. They're walking away with something and it's becoming more educational than just a sales pitch within a webinar. Here at Ashling Partners, all of our webinar series are focused on education. So it's really great to see that 79% of people say that webinars that they attend are mainly educational. And then also we want to include examples. So showcase success stories. It's a great way for people to relate to one another. They can say, oh, I'm going through something that's very similar. Or, again, going back to those pain points. Oh, that's a pain point that has happened to me in the past. Maybe this is another way that somebody has overcome that. Effective promotion. So, diving a little bit deeper into email marketing, we want to ensure that our lists are segmented for those different types of personalization within our messaging. We also want to ensure that our subject lines include CTAs and, again, that personalization. So we can be very playful with A/B testing and different ways with email marketing. But email marketing generates $38 for every $1 spent. So, it's a great tool to have. We just have to ensure that we are being, personalized and, leveraging the tool in the most effective and efficient way possible. Social media is also a really great way for us to promote the webinar as well. So we want to ensure that we're promoting on platforms where your audience is active. We can also promote with paid to extend our reach too. So here especially within the B2B, LinkedIn is the best tool for that. We get great amount of registrants from LinkedIn itself, especially within our team, ensuring that we are letting them know, hey, we're promoting this on social media on this date. Here's everything that you need to know about the event. Here are the cards to promote for it. And then, this is the date and time. And the attendance really kind of spreads like wildfire, if you will. And then partnering with influencers within the industry too. So it's a little bit harder to say that with B2B, but there are a lot of, if you will, B2B influencers too within your space. So if you can get some on your side, that is a really great tool to get people to help, promote your event and also drive additional registrants and attendees. So now we're going to switch into engaging your audience during the webinar. So let's talk a little bit about interactive elements, high quality visuals, and then engaging presenters too. So having a good mix of, these, things within the webinar will ensure that people not just stay on for the webinar, but they're enjoying and want to come back for more. And I think that that's one of the most crucial things, because not only is it, important to get people to be there, but we want people to stay, have a great experience, and then also come back for more. whether that's more for a follow-up or more for another webinar event, or any type of marketing event that you may be planning of the future. So having some sort of, interactive element. So is that a poll, Q&A session, any type of way that you can interact with your audience, make them feel like they're involved and they have ownership within the event itself. So that gains a lot of interest in the content that you are serving. High quality visuals. So whether that's just the slide itself, make sure that it's really well put together. Infographics, illustration, any way that you can put your points together in a nice, clean way, just clear and professional. And then also the engaging presenters. So we want to ensure that who we are choosing for our SMEs that are presenting, they are charismatic speakers. They also are very knowledgeable. They are able to answer those questions on the back end for the Q&A. We can have great follow-up with them. And we're also having a really fun time. A lot of times it's really great when we have a few people on board here, and the banter between 2 or 3, a panel discussion, if you will, it turns more into like a really lively group conversation. Conversation is flowing, and we no longer feel like we're on a webinar event, and we're now in a great just conversation. It's more casual, and people are getting deeper dives into the content itself. So interactive content boosts engagement by 2 times. And it really speaks for that based on, just people coming back and wanting more of it. So continuing with interactive elements. So, engaging live. We just talked about this a little bit, so not going to dive into this so much, but, just ensuring that we are, following up with any type of Q&A afterwards as well, addressing those questions. And again, we're just continuing to engage live with our audience. So those high quality visuals, the use of graphics, so and branded elements. I know there's a lot of really fun tools out there that we can leverage for visuals. Make sure that things are on brand. You have your templates that are set. You can go off to make some really cool things, but it shouldn't be overwhelming on the page. Also testing to make sure that all of your visuals work and look great. There's so many, you're doing all of your dry runs and things to make sure that, sound works, your slides work. If you're doing any type of video, your audience would be able to hear that on the other side. So it's really the little things to make sure that the user has a really good experience on the other side. We're going to circle back to engaging presenters, but the SMEs really make for a great presentation in the webinar. So, make sure that they speak confidently, but you also should be there to support your SMEs too. So is there any type of training that you can, provide to support your SMEs? Is it the first time that, they could be a really great SME, but maybe it's the first time they're doing a webinar. So what type of best practices is it that you can provide your SME to make them feel super confident while going through the event itself? I talked briefly about dry runs. We do 2 or 3 dry runs for every webinar we do, just to ensure everyone feels comfortable. The content is tied up very well, and we're ready to kind of rock and roll, if you will, for the big day. Everyone feels really good about it. So when we're ready to go live, it's just like riding a bicycle. And then just kind of finishing out with encouraging interaction. So because they feel so good about the content from the dry run, their expertise, the content that they've prepared and we've all collaborated on, they are able to interact very confidently with the audience as well. So moving into the post-webinar. So post-webinar follow-up. It might sound very basic, but sending, a thank you email. So we want to express the gratitude to reinforce our message. And definitely always want to include our call to action and any types of next steps, and providing resources. So whether that's the slides, it's the recording, are we serving up any articles, white papers, ebooks? There should always be some sort of takeaway or resource that we can provide with our follow-up nurturing campaign. So whether it's in the thank you email or if it's in a drip campaign, whatever that looks like, you should be able to schedule those and prepare that for your audience. If they're there, they're thirsty to learn. They are thirsty to have those articles and white papers and ebooks. So it's not badgering them by sending them that content. They are excited for it, and it will help continue to drive them through the marketing funnel. You can also use meeting scheduling tools to also, help continue down the marketing funnel and, turn MQLs into SQLs and opportunities. So 63% of attendees are more likely to convert after a follow-up. And we see that at Ashling every single day. We have a high level of intent from people who attend webinars. So the spike of MQLs to SQLs and meeting schedules from an event is really proven, and the amount of resources that we provide from ebooks and articles just really get gobbled up, if you will. So nurturing leads. You also want to make sure that we have the plan developed, map out the series of touch points. We talked about whether that's just, we're starting from the thank you email, how are we sending over the ebooks or whatever it might be, but you should have that all prepared before the webinar event. So once the webinar is over, everything is mapped, planned, and you're pretty much hitting go. Again, you want a mix of content type too: emails, newsletters, social posts, a follow-up webinar for the next series, etc. So it should be very, very thought out for what's next for the nurturing of the development post-webinar plan. You can also leverage, you should definitely be leveraging marketing automation to ensure that people are flowing through different events. So we have, the attended post-webinar event and registered but didn't attend. They receive very similar types of content, but the messaging is just different. They have great interest, but based on what they actually saw from the webinar, their messaging is going to be a little bit different, as well as those who didn't attend, right? So we have different branches and how they go through the marketing automation, and we're personalizing that content based on their behavior of what they did. And of course, lead scoring. So I talked about the MQLs to SQLs a little bit here, but based on those different activities, they're going to score a little bit differently in our system for that, and that's how they're going to move through our marketing funnel. So we want to focus our efforts definitely on those who are, MQLs and SQLs, and making sure those meetings are being scheduled, appropriately. So companies that excel at lead nurturing generate 50% of more sales. That should not be surprising to anyone. So ensure that we have a great lead nurturing campaign, as this is one of the most effective parts of the entire webinar process. And then, kind of ending things here with measuring ROI. So we want to track our key metrics. At the beginning, we should, know exactly what it is that we are going to be tracking and looking for. So attendance rate, poll participation, conversion rates. Do we already know what that might look like? What are the averages of the past, etc.? And then we want to analyze that feedback. So at the end, are we collecting any survey responses of the past? How do those stack up to one another? Using feedback to improve for future webinars will be absolutely crucial to ensure we're just, getting better, stronger, and faster time over time. But the biggest is really calculating the cost versus revenue. how much did the webinar cost and all of our efforts? What did that lift look like? And, how much revenue did we generate from our efforts overall? Was it really worth the squeeze at the end? And how can we be more efficient on the next one? So 76% of marketers cite that webinars are the most effective tactic. And as I've kind of mentioned here, as I'm standing here today, webinars, drive 60% of our lead, and it's our biggest revenue driver for marketing. So I definitely fall within this statistic as well. So I just really want to thank you all for, your participation today. And I'm going to also put my LinkedIn in the chat. If you have any questions about webinars, I'm here to help support all of you. And I'm very passionate about the topic, as you can tell. So thank you all.